The air crackled with excitement. Whispers of silk dresses and tiered cakes filled the room. It was finally happening. The wedding of Amelia and Oliver was just days away. Amelia, a whirlwind of nerves and joy, flitted through her childhood home. Her laughter echoed through the halls, a melody of pure happiness. This was her dream come true. Across town, Oliver paced his flat, wrestling with his tie. He looked at his reflection. Was he ready for this? A wave of doubt washed over him, quickly replaced by the image of Amelia's radiant smile. Their love story was one for the ages, a chance meeting in a crowded bookshop, a shared love of poetry and rainy Sunday mornings. Theirs was a connection written in the stars, or so they thought. The days leading up to the wedding were a blur of activity. Guests arrived from far and wide, their faces etched with anticipation. Amelia's mother, a vision of elegance and grace, oversaw every detail. Her eyes, however, held a flicker of concern. Oliver's best man, Ethan, tried to quell the groom's rising panic with jokes and reassurance. But even he couldn't ignore the shadow that seemed to follow Oliver. A secret weighed heavily on Oliver's heart, threatening to shatter the facade of happiness he so desperately tried to maintain. Amelia, oblivious to Oliver's turmoil, glowed with happiness. She had never felt so loved, so complete. Her bridesmaids, a gaggle of giggling girls, fussed over her every whim, but even their excitement couldn't drown out the tiny voice in Amelia's head, a voice that whispered doubts she couldn't explain. The rehearsal dinner was a joyous affair. Toasts were made, tears were shed, and promises were whispered. Yet, beneath the surface, a current of unease rippled through the crowd. Something wasn't right. The wedding day dawned bright and clear, a perfect day for a perfect wedding, or so everyone thought. Amelia, surrounded by her bridesmaids, slipped into her wedding gown. It was everything she had ever dreamed of. Lace cascaded down the bodice, shimmering like 1,000 stars. Meanwhile at the church, Oliver stood at the altar, his face pale and drawn. The church buzzed with anticipation. Guests took their seats, their eyes glued to the door. Where was the bride? Minutes stretched into an eternity. The air grew thick with tension. Whispers rippled through the pews. Still no Amelia. Oliver, his heart pounding in his chest, felt a knot of dread tighten in his stomach. Finally, the church doors swung open. All heads turned. But it wasn't Amelia. It was Ethan, his face grim, a piece of paper clutched in his hand. He approached Oliver, whispering something that drained all the color from the groom's face. A collective gasp arose from the guests. What was happening? Ethan cleared his throat. Amelia wants me to read this letter, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. The letter was a heartfelt confession. Amelia had discovered Oliver's secret. A secret that changed everything. He wasn't who she thought he was. Tears streamed down Oliver's face as Ethan finished reading. The silence in the church was deafening. Guests watched in stunned silence as Oliver, heartbroken and lost, stumbled out of the church. The wedding that never happened became the talk of the town. Opinions were divided, rumors flew. But amidst the chaos, two hearts were left to heal. The days that followed were a blur for both Amelia and Oliver. They navigated their separate paths, each grappling with the weight of their shattered dreams. The future, once bright with promise, now seemed uncertain and bleak. The wedding may not have happened, but their story wasn't over. This was just the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter filled with the bittersweet pain of heartbreak and the fragile hope of second chances.